Joining me now is Oytun Orhan. He's the coordinator for Levant Studies at Orsam Center for Middle Eastern Studies. He joins us live from Ankara to talk to us further about Syria and the attack by Russian jets. Good afternoon, Oytun. Thank you for joining the program.
Thanks for having me.
Now, how do you evaluate the recent Russian jet attack and the escalation in the region in terms of regional peace and security?
Well, Russian side from time to time increases the pressure over Turkey via Idlib. Idlib has been used as a leverage by Russians against the Turkish side in case of a disagreement in different areas. We know that the Turkey-Russia relations is complicated. They are both cooperating and competing in different fields, including Libya, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Syria. They are at different pages, but to some extent, they can cooperate in all those areas, although they are have different visions. So whenever there is a disagreement in different areas, we have seen that the Russian side used always the Idlib card as a leverage against the Turkish side to push Turkey to reconsider its position in different areas. So it could be the increasing Russian pressure over Idlib could be related with a disagreement in different area. Apart from that, of course, the Russian side had never gave up its intention to fully control Idlib area. I mean, slice by slice, they are trying to move forward. But with the Turkish Spring Shield operation, actually, Turkish side had drawn a line, a clear line, that there is no more space for the regime forces to move forward. But of course, this does not prevent the Russian side to conduct such kind of air attacks in order to push civilians towards the Turkish border that will put more pressure over Turkey. So it could be related, of course, to the Russian goal in Idlib and in Syria in general. We have also seen that not only Idlib, but also recently they targeted the Euphrates Shield area, which is totally, fully controlled and protected by the Turkish armed forces. They targeted some oil refineries there. So these are also considered as a direct message from the Russians towards the Turkish side, not only the opposition forces. So these attacks could be related with the Russian intention in Syria in general, and also in the context of Turkey-Russia relations in general, including the different areas.
Mm-hmm. Now, after a series of aggressions in the region, Turkey retaliated to an attack on the night of the 14th of March, and that was for the first time in the history of the Syrian civil war that a country retaliated for an attack against Syrian civilians that did not harm its soldiers or wasn't a chemical attack. Now, can you elaborate on Turkey's diplomatic and military reaction and how it will be interpreted in Damascus?
Well, actually, the Turkish side is trying to use diplomatic means to stop such kind of aggressions or attacks. But whenever it realizes that these measures are not enough, Turkey is still capable of using coercive measures to prevent Russian and regime attacks. As you said, Turkish armed forces also started to retaliate such attacks. But still, these attacks are not at a level that will change Russian behavior at a strategic level. But of course, if these kind of attacks and the Russian commitments of 5th of March deal, which was signed last year between Turkey and Russia, which foresees a ceasefire in Idlib, if these commitments are not fulfilled by the Russian side, Turkey will also, of course, ask the Russian side to fulfill these commitments. And if not, of course, Turkey has also means to put military pressure over the Russia side. There is also a similar agreement between Turkey and Russia with regards to east of Euphrates River. In that area, the Russian side has a responsibility to pull YPG PKK militants below 32 kilometers. Up to then, the YPG militants still exist there. The Russian side couldn't fulfill its commitments. So in that context, this area and this deal could be used by Turkish side to put military pressure over Russia by conducting some attacks on YPG in the east of Euphrates River and even some air attacks. It could be the same for the west of Euphrates River. There are some regime attacks, regime targets. Turkey and Russia will avoid confronting each other directly. But of course, they will target their local allies, proxies in the area. By targeting opposition forces, Russia is trying to give a message to Turkey so that Turkey could easily target regime targets and also Iranian-affiliated militia groups around Aleppo and Idlib and northern Hama in order to put more pressure over the Russia side. But of course, the two sides, as two big powers, will avoid confronting directly to each other. And in case of a direct confrontation, this will also risk the cooperation in different areas. So the Syria issue is not the only issue that defines Turkey-Russia relations. So they will avoid a direct confrontation. But I think parallel to increasing Russian military pressure, Turkey has also means to put such kind of a pressure over Russia by targeting their proxies in Syria.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now this is my last question to you. The PKK terror group was able to carve out a territory of control following the power vacuum that emerged in Syria after the 2011 revolution. Now, do you think that it's possible for the United States under the Biden administration to cut its ties with the PKK YPG terrorists amid Turkey's strong objections to this controversial cooperation?
Well, U.S. has several priorities in Syria, goals in Syria, which is limiting or eliminating Iranian influence, eliminating ISIS and preventing the conditions for ISIS re-emergence in the region, and also pushing Assad regime for a political solution, and also finally and most importantly for them, giving a political status to the east of Syria controlled by YPG. So the problem for U.S. side is that they are aligning with a terrorist organization, a non-state actor in the region. And with via this organization, it is impossible for them to reach those strategic goals. This is the first thing. But even in this case, it seems that U.S. will pursue its policy supporting YPG actually, with Biden term, we expect that the U.S. support to YPG will not diminish. On the contrary, it will increase. There are also some slight signs of increasing U.S. military support to YPG. Since Biden's term, we had seen that the U.S. Army had sent more 200, 300 troops to Syria. There are also news allegations that U.S. will establish new bases close to Turkish border. So these are signs that they will not give up their commitment to YPG. There is also a kind of sensitivity within the U.S. decision makers and public that they should not abandon their local allies which fought against ISIS. So they are thinking from not a realistic perspective. They are sensitive about this issue. But I think the conditions in the region and their need to Turkey in different areas will push U.S. to take a more realistic position in Syria. And they will also realize that YPG is not a tool, a leverage that will help their goals in Syria. So in that context, real politics in the long run will prevail, and I think they will diminish their support to YPG in the long term. It is impossible for U.S. to challenge, to fight against the challenges emerging from the Turkish side, from the regime side, Russians, by cooperating with a terror organization. So depending on the realities, I think it will diminish. But of course, in the near term, we should not expect that U.S. will end its support to YPG.
Okay, Oytun, thank you so much for joining the program. It's been a great analysis. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.